70 sheets.
And in the field for the Shockers, in left field will be Tommy Tilma. In center field, probably the best to ever play there for the Shockers, Jim Audley. And in right field, Todd Dreifert. Around the infield at third, Mike Jones, senior, member of their championship team 2 years ago. Chris Wimmers, the shortstop. Billy Hall will play second base. At first base is Jason White. Behind the plate, their RBI leader, Doug Mirabelli. And he'll catch Tyler Green at 6'5", an imposing figure on the mound, a record of 11-1, and that anxious to see that knuckle curve, Greg.
I know that the LSU Tigers aren't exactly anxious to see it, but the Creighton Blue Jays got a real good look at it earlier this week.
Yeah, there have been guys that have thrown the knuckle curve, or they call it the spike curve, where they use one knuckle, but this is a very unique pitch. It's actually more knuckleball than curveball, and the results have been outstanding. That's what he did Monday night, 14 strikeouts.
As you mentioned, had a first-round draft choice of the Philadelphia Phillies, number 10, and Tyler was very interesting. He says the phone rang, and his roommate answered it, and he was taking a nap, and he said, it's for you, and he said, take a message. Yeah. And the guy said, it's real important, so he got on the phone, and he said, you've been drafted by us, the Phillies, and he said, terrific. He hung up the phone, went back to sleep.
He had more important things on his mind, like this game right here.
Packed house at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium. And we get underway with number 1 for the LSU Tigers, the number 1 hitter in the lineup, second baseman Tookie Johnson. Having a good College World Series at .364, hitting .272 on the season. And here's Tyler Green going to work. Whoa. And we're underway. As Leslie mentioned at the beginning, what makes that knuckle curve, and you'll know it when you see it, so tough, is the speed with which he throws it. Because his fastball is 90 miles an hour plus, and he throws this knuckle curve that's almost as quick. LSU head coach Skip Bertman told us yesterday that, unfortunately, that knuckle curve is about 6 to 8 miles an hour faster than the fastball of 3 or 4 of his pitchers.
It's a hard downer.
2-0 pitch. Up high, ball 3. Tookie Johnson has been pretty prominent in LSU baseball. This is the all-time ranked number 1 in games played, in hits, and in runs scored, and number 2 in RBIs. Meanwhile, Tyler Green has fallen behind in the count, 3-0. That's a called strike. Falling behind is something Tyler Green can't afford to do today.
Yeah, as much as we talk about the knuckle curve, if he does not have control of that fastball and get ahead of these hitters, then the knuckle curve's not going to be as useful to him. And LSU, great fastball hitters.
One pitch to Johnson. Ball strike 2. 5 pitches, 5 fastballs from Tyler Green so far.
And a good indication of what we see all the time in the College World Series, a generous strike around the knees near the outside part of the plate. That's always the pitcher's pitch here in Omaha.
Let's see if we get a knuckle curve on the 3-2 pitch. Nope, fastball missed, ball 4. Rules here in Omaha for the College Baseball World Series, the aluminum bats, of course.
And they are used. The relaxed balk rule is that you don't really have to step to first base. You can spin and throw. Can't slide in and upset the second baseman. No roll blocks on both helmets. On both ear flaps on the helmets. And a new rule, ejection if you're caught with that stuff.
And, of course, the designated hitter is permitted. Here's center fielder Armando Rios. Hitting just .077. He's just 1 for 13 in the College World Series after a season in which he hit just under 300. Tries to bunt and fouls it off.
Armando Rios is here for one reason, and kind of like Jim Audley, coaches that have come here often, like Skip Bertman of LSU and Gene Stevenson, know in this vast center field, you got to have a guy that can fly and go get him, and Rios can do that.
Skip Bertman says his team doesn't run much, but he may pick his spots to run today if he can guess right with the knuckle curve. Oh, that's a ball, 1-1.
Yeah, as much as we talk about the high averages in college baseball, both pitching staffs here well rested. Wichita State has a deep one, and I think you'll see Bertman try to play for a run earlier in the game than he normally would.
Just 2 stolen base attempts by LSU in the College World Series, and they're 1 for 2. A ball and a strike. We're in the top of the first inning. Low and inside. It's 2-1.
You know, even though both of these teams have been here, LSU, like Tookie Johnson, a lot of College World Series experience, and Wichita State has some members of their '89 championship team. Still a lot of anxious moments for Tyler Green because he has never pitched a game of this importance.
Throw to first, and Johnson is back. There's LSU head coach Skip Bertman in his 8th year with the Tigers and his 3rd straight trip to the College World Series. That's outside, and his 5th in 6 years. That's pretty good production. On the other side, from Wichita State, head coach Gene Stevenson in his 14th year with the Shockers.
And 3 trips here to Omaha.
That's a called strike. And the count is full at 3-2, and for 2 straight hitters now, Tyler Green has gone the distance.
Yeah, have not been able to see that knuckle curve because Doug Mirabelli behind the plate's going to find out if he's got command of that fastball first.
Johnson goes. Ball 4. So control problems for Tyler Green early on. And now the meat of the LSU order.
And Brent Chemnitz, the pitching coach of Wichita State, going to take a stroll to the mound. He's been in charge of these pitchers for quite some time. And in the summer, goes up to Alaska and works with a lot of college pitchers. And he said, I've had Ben McDonald. I've had a lot of great college pitchers. This guy, when he's on his game, is farther advanced at this stage than any of them. But it is the control of the fastball that he's going to have to get a handle on before he can use that specialty pitch.
Umpires in this afternoon's championship game. The home plate umpire is Lee Hagler. Tony Patch at first. Bill Rosenberry at second. Dan Pedersen at third. Down the left field line is Bill Lopina. And the right field line, Dave Yaste. So Tyler Green has gone full count on the first 2 hitters in the LSU lineup and has walked them both. And here is Lyle Mouton. And you talk about power. This young man has it. A 6'4", 230-pound junior who has 13 homers and 62 RBIs on the year and is hitting .600 in the College World Series with 3 homers and 10 RBIs. Pickoff play at second, out into center field. The runners will move up a base. Audley will send the ball back in. And the Tigers now with runners at second and third and charge the error to Tyler Green.
No matter how long you've been pitching, little league, college ball, big leagues, the inning of the most anxiety is always the first inning of a big game like this. And right now, Tyler Green doesn't have control of his pitches or of himself.
Mouton looks at strike 1. As Mouton told Leslie Visser before the game, he sees the knuckle curve. He'll try to hold off of it. A hot 6 for 10 in the College World Series here in Omaha. That one bounces in.
Yeah, and Lyle Mouton stood in that on-deck circle to watch Tyler Green walk the first 2 hitters and not get that knuckle curve over. So he's standing there saying, okay, 1-1. I'm going to look for a nice little fastball right now. If he throws that knuckle curve, I probably can't hit it anyway. And we saw what he's done so far in the College World Series. 3 of those big flies.
You can count on those knuckle curves on 0-2 and 1-2. A ball and a strike, second and third, nobody out. Fastball toward third. Coming home with it is Jones, and the runner is out. Play at third, and he's in there. Give Lyle Mouton a fielder's choice. Johnson is out, third to home.
Well, the Tigers going on contact. Mike Jones near the line has to make sure he throws the ball inside that line to Mirabelli. Makes the good tag, and now Rios very alertly moves up to third base so he can get there with just 1 out in the first inning. So a good base running play by the Tigers and a big out for the Shockers.
So Rios Rios is on at third. Lyle Mouton at first. And here's cleanup hitter Rich Cordani. Cordani 3 for 12 in the College World Series for a .250 average. There's a drive to center field. Audley on the run will make the catch. And Armando Rios trots home with the first run of the day. LSU up 1.
And a good at-bat for Rich Cordani. He's been here to Omaha with his team and not had a lot of success in previous games. So to get that big RBI to get things started, a good lift for him. And you get an idea there why it's important to have a center fielder that can cover some ground here at Rosenblatt Stadium.
Jim Audley can go get him. 2 out now and a runner at first. And the quick throw. Mouton can run. 20 out of 26 in the stolen base department this year. The wrist of Gary Emel. Tyler Green's going to complain that he made no effort to get out of the way.
Yeah, well, it sounded, the sound of that, like it hit the bat, like it hit the knob of the bat, but Emel quickly shaking the hand, so it might have hit the hand and the bat. Wow, is right. But I think fortunately for Emel, it caught more of that knob than it did of his hand.
It's been a little bit of everything here in the first inning. A couple of bases on balls, a throwing error by Tyler Green, a fielder's choice, a play at the plate, a sacrifice fly, and now Emel on as a hit batsman. The Tigers with runners at first and second and 2 out. Here's DH Pat Garrity. Garrity 2 for 10 in the College World Series, and one of those hits a home run. Low, ball 1. Skip Bertman certainly well aware that you can live by the home run and certainly die by it if it doesn't happen for you.
Yeah, sometimes your first inning becomes your 9th inning, and that's what this is for Tyler Green right now. You give LSU 2-3 runs to work with, and they've got a very deep pitching staff.
Well, that one low and inside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Runners at first and second for LSU. Out at second is Lyle Mouton, and at first, Gary Emel. Ball strike, and it's 2-1. Number 1 draft pick of the Philadelphia Phillies. Also playing here in the College World Series last week, John Burke from Florida, Eduardo Perez from Florida State.
Eduardo Perez, of course, son of the former great major leaguer and future Hall of Famer Tony Perez, now the hitting coach of the Cincinnati Reds.
2-1 pitch. Lined in the left field, base hit. Mouton being waved around. The throw from Tommy Tillman to the plate, and he's in there. And the runners move up to second and third. LSU leads it 2-0.
On Monday night, the Shockers defeated Creighton with Audley's throw to the home plate. Nailed the tying run. This one is on target, but Mouton and the ball get to Mirabelli at about the same time, and Mirabelli tries to quickly catch the ball and make the tag at the same time. Doesn't quite have control of it. And it shows you the speed again of Lyle Mouton, not just a home run hitter. That ball was not hit very deeply into left field.
And you know, that home plate scene is no day in the park either. Doug Mirabelli at 210 and Lyle Mouton coming down the line at 230. That's the first hit of the day for LSU. Runners at second and third now, and here's Johnny Telechia, the Tiger first baseman. Low and inside, ball 1. .538 on 7 for 13 hitting here in Omaha for Telechia. That after a 309 regular season. Fouled off to the left. Ball and a strike.
Both coaches said that the tempo of this game is going to be dictated by their starting pitchers, and of course this is exactly opposite of what Gene Stevenson wanted to have happen, with Tyler Green control problems and being a little rattled here in the first inning. And Darren Dreifert up early.
Darren Dreifert, the brother of right fielder Todd Dreifert. 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Tiger runners at second and third. There's Gary Emell at third, and Pat Garrity with the RBI single out at second. LSU leads it 2-0 here in the top of the first inning. 1-2 pitch. First strikeout of the day for Tyler Green. LSU puts 2 on the board. We go to the bottom of the first. 2-0 Tigers. Senior Billy Hall will be Wichita State's leadoff man. 56 stolen bases this year. 53 for number 2 hitter, shortstop Chris Wimmer, a .403 hitter. Batting third, senior center fielder Jim Audley, hitting .500 here in Omaha. The cleanup hitter is sophomore catcher Doug Mirabelli. The right fielder, hitting number 5, is Todd Dreifert. Senior third baseman Mike Jones, hitting .400 in the College World Series, is 6th. The designated hitter is sophomore Scott McLuhan. Batting 8th, junior first baseman Jason White. And batting 9th, sophomore left fielder Tommy Tilma.
And in the field for the Tigers, Rich Cordani got the first RBI of the game. He'll play left field. Armando Rios can cover the ground in center. And Lyle Mouton in right field. Around the infield at third, Chris Mook. The shortstop is Andy Sheets. Second baseman Tookie Johnson. Johnny Telechia. At first, behind the plate, Gary Emell and Chad Auger will do the pitching. Good fastball, good slider, and the one thing Skip Bertman was concerned about is all the rest that Auger has had. His pitching's been so good he hasn't gotten him to the mound too often.
Chad Auger making his first start here in Omaha. He's appeared in 2 games. His earned run average is 0. A junior from St. Louis High School in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and he's working on a 2-run cushion. Billy Hall, Chris Wimmer, Jim Audley to the plate for Wichita State. And that misses, ball 1. Hall with just 1 out of 13 so far here in Omaha. Tries the bunt, and it's fouled, and it's 1-1. First 3 hitters in this Wichita lineup can run.
They'll bunt and they'll run. They all have good speed, steal bases, and hit and run.
One pitch to Hall. Look out. A ball and 2 strikes. 343 up the lines and left and right. 370 up the power alleys, and a long 420 to straightaway center field here in Rosenblatt Stadium. This is no small ballpark. This one lofted down the left field line and foul. Cordani on the run, couldn't get there in time, and it's still a ball and 2 strikes to Billy Hall.
Yeah, one of the more unusual defensive alignments that LSU is using. You mentioned the big center field area. Armando Rios is playing a deep left center. He's way out there. Cordani's near the line, and then Lyle Mouton is shallow and right, and there's all kinds of room out there in right center field.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Hall. Foul back. 7 NCAA tournament games for Wichita State that they've won, and in 6 of them they've trailed at some point in the game, and they find themselves down 2 here in the championship game to LSU. 1-2 pitch from Auger. Outside, 2-2. I asked catcher Gary Emell, how will we know if Auger is on? He says he'll be hitting the corners. He'll hit the corners low and inside, low and outside. He spots his pitches very well when he's on his game. 2-2 pitch. High and away, full count.
Yeah, a lot of new terms for control. You know, Auger doesn't have an overpowering fastball, but it used to be, you said, well, he can throw strikes, but they use the term locate the ball. He can locate it. He can hit the outside, and he can hit the inside. Right now, he's just trying to find the zone.
Full count pitch. Foul back.
Naturally, even on the big league level, the first few innings you're making a mistake if you try to get too careful and hit corners. You're better off going out, setting the tempo for the game, throwing strikes and getting ahead of hitters, and then the other pitches come along and the control gets sharper.
LSU is here via victories over Florida, Fresno State, and Florida again. And Wichita State defeated Long Beach State and then Creighton twice. 3-2 pitch. Fouled away. Well, Tyler Green threw 25 pitches in the top half of the first inning, and Chad O'Shea's got at least 8 or 9 now to Billy Hall. And we'll put Chad O'Shea on the jugs gun. Pop foul off the left side.
88 miles an hour. His range is, say, 88 to 91 will be about tops, and he has a good slider, but that control is most important to him.
Full count pitch. Lined into center field. Rios will play it on one hop. So Billy Hall is on, and he can run.
3-2 pitch. Knows he's going to get a fastball, and Billy Hall just fights that pitch off and kind of serves it the other way. And here's the disadvantage of this deep center field. Armando Rios was playing so deep that he couldn't get in on that ball. Normal depth, that's an out.
Here's shortstop Chris Wimmer. 4 out of 14 here in Omaha. And over at first, Billy Hall can run. 56 steals this year. That's a called strike. For those who may be unaware, LSU head coach Skip Bertman calls each and every pitch. There goes Hall. Emel throwing, too late. Billy Hall is now 3 out of 3 in steals here in the World Series.
This is Wichita State's game. See, Billy Hall never looking in at the hitter, which means it is a straight steal situation. He's stealing all the way, and that's the way the Shockers manufacture their runs. They don't play a long ball. They haven't here in the College World Series, but they use their speed.
So the Shockers with a runner in scoring position now. Hall out at second base, and Chris Wimmer at the plate. 1-1. And he's going. Emel down to third. He's in there. Oh, Billy Hall taking the quick way around the diamond.
Not a better way to answer a team that scored 2 runs in the top of the first inning is to come out and play aggressive baseball in your half. And that's what Gene Stevenson's doing. And Billy Hall with back-to-back steals.
LSU hasn't had much luck throwing out runners here in Omaha. Opposing base stealers are now 5 out of 5 against the Tigers. 1-2 pitch to Wimmer. That one's low inside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Big swing and a miss, and Wimmer goes down swinging. First strikeout of the game for Chad O'Shea.
Now Billy Hall took the full count pitch and slapped it the other way, but O'Shea gets Wimmer trying to take a little bit bigger swing on that 2-strike pitch, gets a fastball right by him.
And here's Jim Audley. Outstanding defensive center fielder, hitting .500 here in Omaha. A .328 hitter on the year with 9 home runs and 80 runs batted in, and he's got an RBI waiting at third base. Oh. That's Billy Hall. Singled, stole second, stole third. That's a called strike.
Anytime you see a hitter that's had the success Audley has for college level or any level, you can bet they do things fundamentally right. Watch the front shoulder of Jim Audley, how closed he is. Gives him a chance to keep from pulling off the ball, hit the ball in the barrel of the bat.
This one chopped toward first. That'll get a run home. Telechia makes the play, and that's out number 2. So now it's 2-1 Tigers.
And LSU will take that trade. They played the infield back anyway. They will give up the run. Good pitch by Auger down where Audley couldn't hit it solidly. And Telechia, probably the best fielding first baseman that Skip Bertman's ever had. He makes the easy play, and Hall scores the first Shocker run.
Give Billy Hall all the credit in the world for that run for Wichita State. And, you know, yesterday the Tigers were nearly unanimous in their praise of Auger's ability to keep the runners close. So Billy Hall did something this first inning. Here's Doug Mirabelli. 2 out of 10 here in Omaha. 13 homers, 85 runs batted in on the year. Fastball is up high, and it's 2-0. Bottom of the first inning. Tigers scored twice in the top half, and Wichita State has come back with 1 here in the bottom. Sign of a spunky team to be able to bounce right back. Called strike, 2-1. Talking about Skip Bertman's success at LSU. That's pretty good production for the Tigers.
Was the pitching coach at Miami before he went to LSU, and that's the results he's had. And Gene Stevenson, his 1982 team, he said was probably his best all-around team. Miami won it that year.
2-1 pitch, call, strike 2. Mirabelli has his doubts.
Now what Stevenson likes about this team is not necessarily the team to win the big game like today, but over 150 games during the course. He said this is as deep and mistake-free a baseball team as he's ever had.
This team hits this championship game, Wichita State, with 10 straight wins and 50 wins in its last 55 games. Foul ball. That 89 championship team had Jim Audley, Brian Buzard, Dreifert, Charlie Gintrone, Tyler Green, Mike Jones, Morgan LeClaire, Darren Paxton. They're still here looking for another championship. There's Gene. 2-2 pitch to Mirabelli. Chopped towards second. Tookie Johnson. And that'll do it for the bottom half of the first inning. Wichita State scores once with 1 hit. And at the end of 1, LSU 2, and the Shockers 1.
Back in Rosenblatt Stadium, where LSU leads 2-1, I'm here with Lyle Mouton Sr. and Mrs. Mouton, Phyllis Mouton. Mr. Mouton, you coached your son from a very small age. We know he played basketball for a couple years. Why is he better suited to baseball?
Well, he has natural talent. He has good eyes, good hand-eye coordination, and at 6'4", 230, if you can play baseball, you can possibly dominate the game a little more than in basketball.
You came up from Lafayette, Louisiana, and your son's been drafted by the Yankees. They had another pretty good player, Ron Guidry, from Lafayette.
That's correct. Ron has really made Lafayette popular. He was known as Louisiana Lightning. Now the Yankees have Louisiana Thunder.
They'll be glad to have him. Let's go upstairs to Greg.
Thought I was Louisiana Lightning. I guess not. There's a line foul.
I tell you, they're right about the Louisiana Thunder. I mean, the Yankees, I think, got a steal drafting Lyle Mouton, because here's a young man at 6'4", 230, like his father said, that has not played a lot of baseball. And he's just raw athletic talent. He's getting better all the time.
1-1 pitch, Chris Mook up the middle. Billy Hall makes the play, and it's out number 1. Both Tyler Green and Chad Auger threw 25 pitches in the first inning.
Yeah, this inning right now will be an inning that both coaches say, you guys got to turn the tempo around, you pitchers. That first inning was too sluggish. We can't go through 9 innings like that. We're going to go through the whole pitching staff.
And we'll miss our flights. Here's Andy Sheets. Number 9 here is shortstop, grounded toward right. Billy Hall cuts it off. Nice play out number 2. Well, right now, Tyler Green stands to cut that pitch count from the first inning by about 4/5.
Boy, big improvement, and that's what's such a breather for a pitcher. When you've had a 25-pitch inning and all the nerves and stuff that Green had in the first inning and come out like this with a couple of quick outs, that'll turn that tempo around.
And here's leadoff man Tookie Johnson. Walked in the first inning and was thrown out at the plate on an infield grounder. That's up high, ball 1. We'll take a look at how hard Tyler Green is throwing here in the top of the second inning.
Monday night he was up in the mid-90s.
Lined into right field, base hit. So Johnson with the second hit of the game for LSU.
Well, the batting practice paying off. Tookie Johnson says, I know what to do with that 90-mile-an-hour heater. That's what LSU was working on yesterday, just trying to take the ball the other way.
Here's Armando Rios. Walked and scored the first run of the game for LSU back in the first inning. Inside. Skip Bertman says what a pleasure it is to have Rios in center field in this big ballpark.
And in this spot right here where he's a good bet to try to advance that runner either with a hit and run or a bunt.
That one's outside. 2 balls, no strikes. So after 2 quick outs, Tookie Johnson with a base hit, and now Green has fallen behind Rios. And Lyle Mouton on deck. Ball 3. Tyler Green would like to know what's up, Hump.
Rios is one guy. You see him bluffing that bunt. He's a guy that, even in this situation, will just try to bunt for a base hit and get Mouton up there.
Three 3-0 to Rios. 3-1. This Wichita State pitching has been no slouch all season long. ERA leaders among Division I teams.
Deepest staff that Gene Stevenson has ever had.
Here's a 3-1. 3-2. No kidding, Jim. I thought I was Louisiana like that.
You and Gator, Ron Guidry.
Fair pitcher in his day. Full count pitch, runner goes. Hitting the center field. Audley on his horse. On his way back, and it's gone. Both coaches were saying yesterday that in this ballpark, the ball really carries when it goes up the power alley. And Armando Rios has just hit a 2-run shot. It's 4-1 LSU.
And that is as big a shock for the Shockers as you could get. Because here's a guy, 3 home runs on the year. He's hitting into 2-hole to bunt and advance runners. And he catches one of Tyler Green's fastballs down and away. Gets it up in that jet stream. The ball is carrying, obviously, when you look at this ball, very well to left center field. Unbelievable.
Armando Rios from Carolina, Puerto Rico.
Give Email and Mouton a little something to shoot for. He said, if I could hit one out to left center field.
That home run was the 9th for the Tigers, and that ties a College World Series record for home runs in a College World Series.
See Brent Chemnitz in that discussion on the mound, and once again it points out no matter how devastating a pitch you have, like Tyler Green's knuckle curve, if you can't control your fastball and get ahead of hitters, you still have days like this. 4 runs in the second inning. Darren Dreifert, as Chemnitz continues the discussion with Tyler Green. Darren Dreifert up again in the Wichita State bullpen.
We talked about the power of this LSU team at the start of our telecast today. 348 average, 42 runs, now 9 home runs.
Yeah, those numbers tell a lot about how important it is to come into the College World Series playing at that level, because at the beginning of the year, Skip Bertman said, I didn't know I was going to have that kind of a hitting team. They've come to Omaha before kind of flat, not playing good baseball, but they're playing as well right now as they have at any time during the season.
Mouton, big swing and a miss. Skip Bertman said yesterday, not to take anything away from Tyler Green, but he pitched such an outstanding game against Creighton here Monday night. He doesn't think he could pitch any better than that. And he pointed to Green's 4.31 earned run average. He said, hey, somebody's scoring runs off of him.
Well, he pitched a lot of games early in the year like he's pitching today.
This is a guy all week long has been putting some muscle into some shots. Call strike, 2-2. Mouton had faced Green last year and said he never saw the knuckle curve. That one bounces past Mirabelli.
Yeah, pretty natural thing right now for a college pitcher, overthrowing, a little jarred by that home run by a guy you'd least expect to hit it. Now the pitch is well out of the strike zone, and
Rios hit a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, too. He knows he's probably just a hitter from being out of the game.
Already up to 42 pitches today. Full count pitch to Mouton. Grounded towards short. Wimmer on to first, and that'll do it. But put 2 more on the board for LSU. It's 4-1, and our coverage of the College World Series Championship will continue after this message and the word from your local station. We told you LSU head coach Skip Bertman calls every pitch from the dugout. He told Jim Cott about it.
Oh, yeah. No, they shake off pitch whenever they want. There's a signal that goes in just for the catcher to call the pitch, which is whatever he wants. So it isn't as if they have to throw. It's part of a coordinated plan. It's mostly for development. But now that we're into the final game and the pitchers have seen tape and we've been with it, they'll pretty much call their own game.
Now you've got to figure by this stage of the season, Gary Emel and Skip Bertman are pretty much on the same wavelength anyway.
A different philosophy coach to coach, and Skip has always been one that calls the pitches and the location, but as he said, he gives the catcher and pitcher the final option.
This is Todd Dreifert, right fielder, and the number 5 hitter for Gene Stevenson. And Auger falls behind 2-0. It'll be Todd Dreifert, Mike Jones, and Scott McLuhan. And Auger misses up high, ball 3.
Toughest time to throw a strike is when you have to throw a strike. As if you're Chad Auger right now, 3-run lead, you're saying, I just got to get it in the zone, get ahead, and then you squeeze that ball a little bit, and it flies high and away or low and in.
Here's a call strike. Did you like to pitch with a big lead or a tight game?
To tell you the truth, the ideal game is 1-1 game till about the 7th inning and then blow it open. That keeps your concentration in, but you have to learn to pitch with a lead, too. Some guys handle it a little better than others.
3-1 fouled back, and it's now a full count.
Obviously, every pitcher would like to say, hey, give me 10 runs in the first inning, but don't think it's easy that you just go out there and throw the ball over. You still have to continue pitching, and that's probably what Auger will wrestle with right here with the early runs.
And a big lead does you no good here in the College World Series. The best hitters in the country are here in Omaha. Full count pitch. Grounded towards short. Sheets. Deep in the hole. Nice throw.
Well, as we said about Telechia being about the best in the field at first base, Skip Bertman thinks Andy Sheets at shortstop might fall into that category. Good, proper way to field the ball. Nothing acrobatic about that. Plant the foot and make the strong, accurate throw.
Sheets is a transfer from Tulane University down in New Orleans. Played ball in a Tulane victory against LSU a couple years ago, and Skip Bertman liked him a lot. That's a called strike. This is Mike Jones, senior third baseman from Wichita. Jones 6 out of 15. That's up high. He had an interesting night here Thursday night. Didn't dive for a ball that Gene Stevenson thought he should have, and got chewed out royally in the dugout. And all Jones did after that was get an RBI single, score a run on a sacrifice fly from second base, hit a 2-run homer, had another RBI single. 4 for 5, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored. A little motivation never hurts, does it?
And you'll see a lot of the coaches do that sometime halfway through the game, call the troops together, and Stevenson didn't like the intensity with which the Shockers were playing that night.
A wake-up call. That misses, and it's ball 3. I'm sure Skip Bertman doesn't like to see his pitcher falling behind now on the count as often as he has.
Mentioned his depth, and he has Mike Sorotka, a left-hander, and then Paul Bird, who's already pitched here at the College World Series and won. Both of them are rested and able to pitch 3-4 innings. So it's not that he will go too long with Auger.
That's ball 4. On the other side of the field, Gene Stevenson has some quality 3 and 4 pitchers that haven't been seen, and he says he won't bring them in relief.
Yeah, his number 3 and number 4 starters that got him through the entire season, they won't see action today. He's got more set roles for his pitchers. Dreifert is the long man. If he gets the lead near the end, he's got one of the best closers in college baseball in Jamie Bluma.
Here's Scott McLuhan, 6-foot sophomore from Loveland, Colorado. That name sounds familiar. It should. His dad, Kent, played 6 years with the Oakland Raiders and twice an all-pro cornerback. That's ball 1. Gene Stevenson making his thoughts known to McLuhan. In fact, Scott's older brother, Dave, cornerback for the University of Colorado. It's a strike call, 1-1.
Yeah, even down 3 runs, they're not going to sit back and wait to get the extra base hit. They'll use the speed in this situation, steal or hit and run.
This one line down the left field line, foul.
That home run by Rios, I mean, it quieted this entire crowd. It was so unexpected. Here's a guy that his job really is to bunt and scratch and hit the ball on the ground and use his speed and get Mouton to the plate, and he takes a 3-2 fastball and pumps it over the left center field wall.
Jim, would you say that's akin to a pitcher hitting a home run in a major league game?
Very, very close to it.
Throw to first, and that was pretty close.
Well, we mentioned the relaxed balk rule. That's an example of it. See, in college, you can spin and throw the ball at the same time, which is very deceptive to the base runner.
Ball and 2 strikes to McLuhan with Jones on first. Popped up left side. Mook down the line and couldn't handle it. Back to the infield, going down the line, and Mook just couldn't get there. Got there, but couldn't hold it.
Well, this is a palms up play right here for Chris Mook. The palms are up, the thumbs are on the outside, and you catch it like a wide receiver, like a basket catch. But see, he tries to, with the palms down, he tries to smother that ball. Right there. And very little chance to come up with it with that method.
Chris Mook should know what you're talking about. Quarterback on the LSU football team. McLuhan, new life throw to first. And Jones again barely beating the throw.
Mook said, I'm used to throwing those spirals, not catching them. Right?
We talked about Auger's ability to keep runners close, and we're seeing good moves to first. Again.
Yeah, and Gene Stevenson is shaking his head because this is no time to gamble and take a chance on getting picked off first base. It's a bad percentage. Might as well just take a couple of steps and get off with the pitch.
1-2. Inside, 2-2. So both starting pitchers, Tyler Green for Wichita State and Chad Auger for LSU, logging some pretty high pitch counts in the early innings. 2-2 pitch grounded toward short. Sheets to second for one. To first, double play. 6-4-3 on the scorecard. We've played 2 here in Omaha. LSU leads at 4-1.
These pitchers are up and their control's off. They'll settle down. They'll both pitch a great game.
Well, we'll see. Back to you, Greg.
Leslie, thank you. As Jerry well understands, you can excuse young people in pressure-packed situations for having a flow of adrenaline.
Yeah, that's really a good point and a good observation, because that's exactly what happens to a pitcher when you're anxious and eager to get the ball to home plate in a hurry. That front shoulder flies open and your control suffers.
Rich Cordani, Gary Emel, Pat Garrity for the Tigers here in the top of the 3rd inning. Cordani got the first run of the game home in the 1st inning with a sacrifice fly. Rich 3 for 12. Lyle Mouton's grandfather gave him some special holy ointment to rub on his bat, and Lyle said Rich was having a little trouble getting started, so I loaned him some.
Yeah, and worked for a sacrifice fly.
Yeah. LSU with 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd. The Shockers with 1 in the 1st. It's a 4-1 game as we play the top of the 3rd. This one hit high in the air to center field. Jim Audley drifting back, and that's out number 1. Let's take a look at Tyler Green. And
now here's that pitching motion that Jerry the scout was talking about. See that front shoulder, just like a hitter. You want to keep that close to the hitter right there to the last possible moment. And of course he's much better right now than he was in that 1st inning.
Here's Gary Emel. Hit by a pitch in the 1st inning. That's called strike. Boy, does this guy have power.
Yeah, he's not just pulled the ball over the left field thing. His home runs go all over the ballpark. He has great power to right field as well.
If you pay attention to such things, Gary Emel has all 3 game-winning hits here in Omaha for the Tigers. Ball and a strike. Lined in the left field. Base hit. Tilma hustles it in, and Emel is on with a single. One on, one out, and that'll bring up Pat Garrity here at Rosenblatt Stadium. Overcast day, but we're glad you're with us for the College Baseball World Series Championship. Greg Gumbel along with Jim Cott and Leslie Visser. And LSU leading Wichita State 4-1. Garrity with an RBI single in the 1st inning is 1 for 1. And once again, we have action in the Wichita State bullpen. Darren Dreifert up and throwing.
And ready by this time.
Line drive, base hit into right field. Emel will take the turn and hold at second. 2 hard hit balls here in the top of the 3rd off of Green. And let's go back to what we said at the beginning in the very 1st inning, Jim. That is a tremendous pitch, that knuckle curve, but if you don't get a chance to throw it, it can't do you any good.
The most important pitch in baseball is still control of the fastball. It's the only pitch you can throw in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. You can throw low and away, low and in, up and in, so forth, but you got to get that over to make that other pitch effective. And I think Stevenson, chatting with Mirabelli, may have seen enough and forced to go to his bullpen a lot earlier than he wanted to.
Certainly wants to know more from Mirabelli right now than he does from Tyler Green.
Well, you can ask a catcher and say, how's he throwing? But all you have to do is look at the scoreboard. And it's 4-1, 5 hits, and a couple of men on, and you can't afford to get much farther behind if you're Gene Stevenson.
Gene Stevenson still talking about it and thinking about it. How do the Tigers do against Wichita State? 348 here in the College World Series.
Yeah, that's what the Tigers have hit, and that's what the batting average against for Wichita State. So it was a question, as we talk often, good pitching beating good hitting. Now, that doesn't mean just good pitching in name. You got to pitch good to beat good hitting. And Tyler Green is a good pitcher, but he's not pitching good so far today.
English teachers are rolling over in their graves.
See, that's one of those baseball terms. It's like throwing. How's he throwing or breaking ball? That's just baseball terms. You know, throw those out of the English class.
Pitching good, someone somewhere just went, ooh. Well, Tyler Green is going to stick around for a while longer. 2 on, 1 out, top of the third. And the LSU bats have been relentless so far. Big swing and a miss by Telechia, who went down swinging in the first inning. Having a terrific World Series. 7 out of 14, 500 batting average. And every once in a while, adrenaline or no adrenaline, sometimes the pitcher just has to get a little angry out there.
Yeah, sometimes a visit like that, and we saw what Stevenson did to his entire team the other day with that wake-up call. Maybe he gave Tyler Green the same thing.
0-2. Let's see what Green serves up here. Really his first chance to throw the knuckle curve today.
Yeah, he's not been consistently ahead, so we would probably get a look at it right here with a left-hand hitter.
Emel at second, Pat Garrity at first, 1 out. 4-1 LSU, top of the third. Nope, fastball down and in, missed. Tyler's dad, Chuck Green, looking on.
Former quarterback of the Oakland Raiders.
A ball and 2 strikes. There's that knuckle curve, and it got Telechia swinging. The sharp breaker down and in. And Telechia out on strikes for the second time.
Well, it's hard, and it's a late break, and watch where it ends up. You'll see the ball break right below Telechia's bat, and it is next to unhittable.
And that's what Tyler Green can throw if he gets ahead in the count. Here's Chris Mook. 0 for 1 with a ground out to second. 2 on and 2 out now. Fastball. Out at second is Gary Emel. He reached with a single. And at first, Pat Garrity, who also singled. Garrity 2 for 2 and 2 of the 5 LSU hits today. Down and in, and it's 1-1.
Some might say, well, why doesn't he just throw that pitch to start off with then if it's so unhittable? But it is the kind of pitch that if you get ahead, the hitters will chase it. You throw it early in the count, they'll lay off it.
I asked Tyler yesterday if he can throw it for a strike, and he says, yeah, he does, but he doesn't like to because he has to start it up pretty high, and the way it starts, the batter will know what it is, whereas if you start it towards the middle of the plate, it looks like the fastball and then breaks down and away. Burner right across the plate. 1-2. '66 was the year Chuck Green played quarterback for the Raiders, by the way. Green runs Emel back towards second. Emel's got a pretty healthy lead off second base.
Nervous habit right there, though, for a pitcher.
1-2 pitch. There it is again. Mook goes down swinging, so Tyler Green strands 2 runners. Will go to the bottom of the third. 4-1 LSU.
I'm an emotional pitcher, and even pitching in that final game, I was very emotional in that game. It was a big burden that I felt that I was relieved because I had accomplished something that, you know, I'd worked so hard to try and achieve with those other guys. And, you know, those teammates are guys you always remember and always have around.
Roger Clemens, an emotional pitcher? No.
Well, you know, the scout touched on that and talking about the two pitchers today, and this is the biggest game that these guys have been involved in. You talk to major league pitchers that have come through this College World Series, they'll say the first time in Omaha, it's like the mound is a blur. You know, they're so caught up in the pressure of it.
Bottom of the third, Jason White, first baseman. First pitch swinging and a fly ball to right field. Lyle Mouton with his first chance of the day. Out number 1.
Should say the plate is a blur. You know, pitchers stare down there, and sometimes the umpire, the hitter, the fans, they all blend together, and it takes a couple innings to get over that. Maybe Auger and Green are now settling down a little.
If we get any more clouds, the day is going to be something of a blur. A few raindrops have begun to fall. Umbrellas popping up here and there. Number 9 hitter, left fielder Tommy Tilma. Tilma just 1 out of 11 this World Series. One-0 pitch. Fouled off to the left. The ball on the strike.
I mentioned Wichita State had come from behind several times during the year, but it's a little more difficult for them. Not that they can't do it, but they don't get as many runs with one swing like we saw Rios hit the home run or Mouton or Emel. They do it by bunching their hits together.
Toward left, speared by third baseman Chris Mook. And that's out number 2. Tilma didn't hit it hard. Mook made the play, and that's out number 2. And we go back to the top of the order, and Billy Hall, who manufactured a run almost single-handedly in the first inning. Singled, stole second, stole third, and came home on a ground ball. Auger comes inside on him, ball 1.
Again, now this time they have Rios playing a little more shallow out there.
And that first inning single by Hall was a pretty well-hit liner that fell in front of Rios, who's playing very deep in center field.
They still have Mouton over there in a big gap in right center, but that's because studying the tapes, which LSU does a lot of, they figure Hall hits the ball consistently to left field.
If he should pull the ball into the right field corner, he'll run forever. Up the middle, Billy Hall is 2 for 2.
Boy, now, there's some big league hitters that would probably like to look at this swing and say, that's what I ought to be doing. Here's a guy blessed with great speed. He doesn't hit the ball in the air. All he's trying to do is make contact and hit it hard on the ground and utilize that speed. The little guys that run don't make any money when they hit it in the air. When they hit it on the ground, they can use those legs.
Here's Chris Wimmer. We'll keep an eye on Hall at first base. And time is called. Hall with 2 steals in the first inning is 57th and 58th on the season. Towards second. Tookie Johnson with the short flip, and that'll do it. We've played 3, 4-1 LSU, and CBS Sports coverage of the College World Series championship game will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Won a couple of games here in Omaha. Andy Sheets leads off the top of the 4th for LSU, the number 9 hitter for the Tigers. Grounded out to second in his only other trip to the plate. LSU 4, Wichita State 1. And Tyler Green behind in the count at 2-0. And to the number 9 hitter, a 167 hitter here in the World Series, or less than that, and now 3-0. That's just a no-no.
Key inning right here for Tyler Green. Gene Stevenson is staying with this guy because he knows once he's on target, he can dominate the game. But this is an inning he's got to get him out 1, 2, 3.
And that's nowhere close. Ball 4. And we saw Darren Dreifert come down to the dugout between innings. So I would assume he's ready and loose.
Oh, yeah. Stevenson made the, you could almost read the body language, like if he gets one man on, get up and get ready because they just can't go too much longer.
And Stevenson to the top step of the dugout.
That's the old speed him up sign. Get ready in a hurry.
And you've got to figure Dreifert doesn't need much. Top of the order, Tookie Johnson. 5 straight balls from Green. And here comes Stevenson. That's it for Tyler today, I'm pretty sure. We have seen the last of Tyler Green this afternoon. And Darren Dreifert being called in.
Both coaches, as you would expect at any game, said the starting pitchers have the key to this whole thing, and so far it's been that way.
Well, they love it in the LSU dugout. We'll be back. LSU looking for its first. Wichita State a winner here 2 years ago. USC, well, they've got a ways to go to catch the Trojans.
Yeah, those names at the top, they kind of dominated college baseball for years. When you thought college baseball, you thought Southern Cal, Arizona State, Texas. But you look at these entries the last few years here at Omaha, and it shows you how really the parity in college baseball. Creighton being here this year for the first time.
Hey, John and Carol Dreifert of Wichita have to be pretty excited, don't you think? Out in right field, his son, junior Todd Dreifert, and now on the mound, freshman Darren has come on for the Shockers. That's Darren, and there's older brother Todd out in right field.
Todd, another member of that championship team here 2 years ago.
The count is 1 ball, no strikes to Armando Rios. I'm sorry, make it Tookie Johnson. And it's now 1-1. Tookie with a walk and a single. Swing and a miss. You know, so much talk about that knuckle curve. What do you think the feeling is now in the LSU dugout with Tyler Green out of the game?
It's accomplishment number 1, a little bit of relief, but you see that fastball at 91 miles an hour. They keep on coming out of that Wichita State bullpen. And Bluma, the closer, if he gets there, throws even harder than that.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. Ball and 2 strikes to Johnson. Chopped over the pitcher's head. Billy Hall makes the tag, throws to first, double play. And a nice play by Billy Hall. The second baseman unassisted, and then the throw on to first.
Yeah, a little bit of the rule differences in college baseball right here. Now, on the pro level, you'd see the base runner probably just try to almost block the second baseman and keep him from throwing the ball. You can't do that in the college level, and Hall makes a very alert play.
So Dreifert quickly now with two outs and nobody on, and here's the slugger, Armando Rios, 2-run homer in the second inning, his last trip to the plate.
Well, is he going to have something to chirp about if LSU goes on to win this game? And say, all you big, strong guys, they were looking for the long ball.
Rios with a walk in the first, 2-run homer in the second. Ooh! And Rios not exactly thrilled with the inside pitch.
Well, you see Mirabelli's target, but wow, the way Dreifert unloaded that ball, it almost looked like it was headed right that way. And Rios threw the bat down, stared out at the mound.
Well, you can always tell who hit the home run the last time up.
Yeah, that doesn't really accomplish anything, hitting a guy the next to you. The best way to do is get them out. If they're hitting you hard, you push them back off the plate, but that doesn't really accomplish anything or prove anything.
Well, you know, Lyle Mouton would like to supply his own answer here. That's ball 1. Mouton has 4 career dingers, as does Emel. Emel has all of his this year.
A couple of big leaguers there. Pete Incaviglia of the Tigers and Ed Sprague with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Ball 2.
The other thing that hit batsman, if it was intentional, I would hope it was not, because why would you want to put that guy on base and have to face Mouton with another runner at first base?
Although it's early early. And if you're talking about setting tones and tempo, you let Lyle Mouton swing 3-0?
I think he'll be hitting if he wants to.
3-1.
A lot of times, and this happens even in the big league level, a lot of hitters aren't comfortable hitting on 3-0 because you tend to be a little anxious. Overswing a little bit.
Oh, that's ball 4. Second walk of the inning, first by Dreifert. You and I have talked about this before, Jim, that I think ball players in the major leagues particularly should be allowed to hit 3-0 more often because it may be the best pitch you see all day.
Well, there's a lot of controversy about you'll hear teams make a lot of first pitch outs, and people say, oh, why do they swing at the first pitch? A lot of times the best pitch you get to hit is the first pitch. And then you mentioned the 3-0 situation. Yeah, most of the time good hitters know they're going to get a fastball to hit there. The managers have to look at it also. I want to get a base runner. I want to take a chance of that pitcher maybe missing the strike zone.
Runners at second and first now for LSU with 2 out. And here's Rich Cordani with a sacrifice fly in the first inning and a fly out to left in the third. Strike 1. Out at second is Armando Rios and Lyle Mouton at first. 4-1 LSU. The Tigers trying to add to it here in the top of the 4th inning. Cordani gets a good pitch to hit here. Dreifert may regret that hit batsman. Hit deep to right. Extra bases. Rio scores. Mouton will score. Cordani on his way to third. 6-1 LSU.
Here's the regret you were talking about. He definitely did. Rips this ball against the right center field wall. And what a nice day for Rich Cordani, who had had trouble in previous appearances here in Omaha. The RBI sacrifice fly, and now the big triple to give the Tigers a 5-run lead.
And Jim, you questioned whether or not that hit batsman was intentional, and you said, why would you want to bring up the meat of the order?
Yeah.
Here's Emel. We are still amongst the meat of the order. Pitch. Drive to right. Dreifert on the run makes the catch, and that retires the side. But not before the Tigers put another 2 spot on the board. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's 6-1 LSU.
I was the MVP of the 1973 World Series, and that was due to hitting and pitching. Now remember, I struck out 29 guys in 2 games. Where I won 1-0 against Oklahoma, and then we lost. Actually, they took me out against SC, and they made one of the most remarkable comebacks in the history of the tournament to win against us. But they said, here's the MVP, take this watch, and we'll see you later in the big league.
Yeah, well, they've seen him later for a lot of... Amazing how ball players can remember those numbers, you know, 29 strikeouts in 2 games from that long ago. And he was the last player to win an MVP from a team that didn't win the championship.
Jim Audley leading off the bottom of the 4th. Strike 1. You know, I've always thought that it's a giant step for a pitcher if he can be physically intimidating out there on the hill before he even throws one, and that certainly has to be the case with Dave Winfield on the mound.
Before Bo Jackson came on the scene, Winfield was probably a guy that could have been a good professional player in 3 of the big-time sports. Drafted in all 3, football, basketball, and baseball.
1-1 pitch. 2-1. And now the Shockers with a little bit of a hole. Still early, bottom of the fourth, but they are down 5, and they've managed just 2 hits off of Chad Auger. And more importantly, they have knocked Wichita State ace Tyler Green from the hill. That's outside, ball 3.
Yeah, it's still a game of who controls who. So, yeah, it's a 5-run lead, but most of these college teams score 7, 8, 9 runs a game. So if you're Auger, this is a very, very critical inning with the middle of this order coming up. You want to get your team off the field and get back swinging the bats.
Pop foul, third base side. Mook will take a look, but it drifts away. Audley will be followed by Doug Mirabelli and then Todd Dreifert. That's a good look at third baseman Chris Mook. Fouled again. Interesting story about Chris Mook. The first pass he ever completed in college back in 1989 was to Wesley Jacob for a 73-yard touchdown against Ohio University.
And really played baseball in the last couple of years.
His dad Joe played football and baseball at LSU. That's ball 4. So Audley gets the Shockers off to a good start here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And if you're just joining us, we welcome you to Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, along with Jim Cott and Leslie Visser. I'm Greg Gumbel. LSU with 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 4th. Wichita State with 1 run in the 1st inning, and it's a 6-1 Tiger lead. And this one's for all the marbles in college baseball. Mirabelli grounded out to second to end the 1st inning, his only other at bat. That's outside. I think Skip Bertman, in relaying those signs in, is calling for strikes.
He's probably calling for a lot of zone 1 fastball. Just throw it over and see if my defense can make a few plays.
Jim Audley, 21 out of 27 in the stolen base department, but I don't think you see Gene Stevenson trying to run himself out of an inning here. Especially with Auger having problems finding the plate.
And if Auger continues to have trouble finding the strike zone, you'll see Mike Sorotka, a left-hander, go down to the bullpen. The Shockers have a few switch hitters and some left-hand hitters, so he can go to Sorotka in the middle, and he still has Rick Green, who's an outstanding closer for LSU, to finish the ball game.
There's Skip Bertman saying, I need a strike, I need a strike. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Mirabelli. That one gets past Emel, and Audley moves on to second.
Well, the pressure of the moment is the only thing responsible for this. A 6-1 lead, and Chad Auger is not trying to hit corners, I'm sure. He just wants to throw the ball in the strike zone, knowing that he's got this 5-run lead. Goes back to a point you brought up a couple of innings ago. Some pitchers are really better. Their concentration is better in 1-1 games than when they have big leads.
Charge Emel with a pass ball. And a 3-0 count on Mirabelli. 3-1. And we're going to get a little action now in the LSU bullpen.
There's Mike Sorotka with the outstanding curveball. He's got a win here in postseason play.
3-1 to Mirabelli. Lined into right center field. Mouton on the run is there. And Audley tags at second and moves on to third. Mouton is big, 230 pounds, but he can get around.
Yeah, speed is a great asset because you can use it when you're out there in the field as well as when you're at the plate, and that's something that Lyle Mouton has that's very deceptive. He kind of glides to the ball, but he has great speed. And one thing that Skip Bertman said the scouts maybe he didn't draft him as high is because he's not really a high-intensity type player. He sort of glides after the ball. And it appears that he's not hustling, but he has great speed.
Well, Skip Bertman has made a trip to the mound now, and we look at Lyle taking it easy out in right field. I want to remind you that coming up next from Westchester, the Buick Classic. We'll take you to live golf from Westchester Country Club after we wrap up this college baseball championship game here in Omaha.
Little baseball flavor to that golf tournament right there. Chris Perry, the nephew of Hall of Famer Gaylord and son of a former teammate of mine, Jim Perry's tie for the lead in that golf tournament.
Here's Todd Dreifert. Runner at third, one out, and outside corner for strike one. There's Audley at third. What a great throw he came up with from center field against Creighton here Monday night. Fly ball, left center field. Cordani on the run, and made the catch. And on the tag, Audley will come home for the second run of the day for Wichita State. We talked about how the ball carries here at Rosenblatt Stadium. I don't think you get a better example than that.
Yeah, Cordani with his first year in left field, he's been a third baseman, and he has to drift with this ball and just make that leaping catch if there's any doubt as to which way the wind is blowing. Just routine fly balls, and that's right out there near that 370 mark. Rios there to give him a little assist and make sure he hangs on to the ball.
And then to paste him against the wall out there in left center. The flag is blowing, or the flag shows the wind blowing right to left. Here's Cordani. 2 out now, nobody on. And the passed ball hurts the Tigers. Mike Jones with a base on balls back in the second inning. Looks at strike one. A ball and a strike. Check swing, foul, and it's 1-2. In the dugout, Wichita starter Tyler Green. Certainly was looking for a bigger day than he had.
There have been a lot of other outstanding pitchers in college ball that have not had success here. Ben McDonald for one, but still going to be a good big league pitcher. Tyler Green hopes he will do the same thing.
1-2 pitch. Just missed on the outside, and the appeal doesn't go at first base with umpire Tony Patch. We were talking yesterday about Tyler Green and approaching this game, and you said when you were his age, you were in the majors.
Not ready to be, but it's the years of training here that I think help pitchers grow up and mature more, the college baseball experience.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him swinging. We've played 6-2 LSU, and CBS Sports coverage of the College World Series championship game continues after this message and a word from your local station.
And I think if we could win this game today and go out national championship, I think it would make it a lot easier on us.
Yeah, but it is a little bit difficult to take a look at this ball game and know that it's the end of the line, Jim. Ground ball towards second. Billy Hall. That's out number 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pat Garrity's out there that aren't going on to professional baseball, and some commenting during batting practice yesterday. This is my last practice. They were joking about it, but there's a little bit of a sentimental feeling there. Their last experience as a college baseball player. And not just playing the game, but I think the camaraderie that develops when you have 20 to 25 guys together for 3 or 4 month period of time. That's the thing the big leaguers miss when the career ends.
Johnny Telechia has gone down swinging twice in 2 trips to the plate. But his first look at Darren Dreifert. Dreifert in his second inning of work now. This LSU lineup puts constant pressure on the opposing pitcher. They've put 71 runners on base in their previous 3 College World Series games. That's an average of almost 3 an inning, and today in 4 1/3 innings they've put 13 men on base so far.
Trying to bring that championship to the SEC for the 2nd year in a row. Georgia did it last year.
Bullet down the middle, 2-1.
Last year's game was a case where the starting pitcher did control against a team that was a great hitting team, Oklahoma State, but freshman Stan Payne and left-hander Vern Fleming came in and just shut that good hitting team down.
2-1 pitch to Telechia. Ball 3. You pitchers love that phrase, good pitching beats good hitting, don't
Yeah. Dizzy Dean or Casey must have come up with that years ago.
I'm sure it was some pitcher somewhere. Ball 4. That's the 5th base on balls issued by Wichita State pitching today, the 2nd by Dreifert. 1 on, 1 out, and that brings Chris Mook to the plate. Mook 0 for 2. Ball 1. And now Dreifert having trouble locating the strike zone. Kind of scary, a kid this big throwing this hard as a freshman. Ball 2.
We have a couple #1 picks. We mentioned Tyler Green and John Burke from Florida that win in the 1st round as pitchers, but this has really been a much more of a series for the hitters. A lot of walks, a lot of runs scored. They're going to, before this is over, break a lot of records for scoring runs.
Well, we have seen some long home runs, too. 2-0 pitch. 2-1. Top of the 5th inning. LSU with a 4-run cushion. And hoping to add to it. Back to the pitcher. Dreifert to 2nd for 1. The relay. Double play. So the Tigers are gone in the top half of the 5th. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We'll go to the bottom of number 5. 6-2 LSU.
CBS Sports coverage of today's College World Series Championship game is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Canon, the official camcorder of Little League Baseball.
Well, we go to the bottom of the 5th inning here at Rosenblatt Stadium. 6-2, LSU is leading, and Darren Dreifert, who came in to relieve, is also the new designated hitter as he steps to the plate.
Well, you talked about how hard he throws the ball as a freshman. We're going to get a chance to see how well he hits.
You may recall it didn't meet with a great deal of goodwill that he hit Armando Rios, and now Darren Dreifert steps to the plate.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any of that going on for Mosier. They got one thing on their mind, Chad Auger and LSU. Throw some strikes, fill in those frames, and hold on to that 4-run lead.
So the freshman obviously a pretty good hitter as well. Two balls and a strike. You know, we don't see this happen too often, where you've got a pitcher who comes in and he also goes to the plate now. What kind of effect do you think that might have on it?
Well, I think you feel like you're more in the ball game. That designated hitter rule, you had to figure out what to do with your idle time. When you're there as a hitter, it makes you feel like you're much more a part of it.
This is something new for Wichita State here in the College World Series. In the previous 3 games, they've had the same 9 hitters going to the plate in every single inning. This is the first guy up who's been different from the previous 3 games.
I think that's pretty, typical of a lot of the good ball clubs that get here. You don't see a lot of platooning. They got the set lineup, and the key is coming to Omaha when you're playing your best baseball of the whole year. Some teams start out fast, they taper off, and both of these ball clubs have been playing outstanding baseball the last few weeks. 2-2 pitch to Darren Dreifert. Popped it up. On
the infield, Telechia. Drifting over towards second base, makes the catch for out number 1.
See, Johnny Telechia is explaining how the wind is drifting the ball right there as Mike Sorotka gets up for the second time.
That flag is straightaway center field out over the 420 sign. And Lyle Mouton took a pretty good shot at it last week.
He's opened some eyes as well as Enel with some of the long, but especially Mouton because he's got that athletic body. He's got a chance to be a great pro player.
One hopper to short. Andy Sheets on the first, and Jason White is out for the second out of the inning. Who's won this the last few years? Well, Georgia last year, as Jim mentioned, on the great pitching performance. Wichita State. Stanford was the champion 2 years running. Arizona back in 1986.
And if this holds up, this will be the first team really that has won it more with offense than with great pitchers, especially in the final game. Take nothing away from Auger, but it's been Mouton and the offense that has carried the LSU Tigers. Some of those other champions, Jack McDowell of Stanford, Glenn Brummett a couple of years ago for Wichita State, the pitchers were the big stars.
This one hit in the left center field. Cordani over, Rios over. Rios at the wall to make the catch. Skip Bertman said he could go and get him, and that's why he likes him in the middle of his outfield defense. We played 5 here at Rosenblatt Stadium. LSU leads it by 4.
Back in Rosenblatt Stadium, specifically in left center. You know, the College World Series has been held here annually since 1950, and Skip Bertman said it took him about that long to get comfortable here. He said that the swirling wind patterns, which he called not unlike Candlestick Park, mean that you have to have a really alert center fielder. You guys have referred to it. A center fielder who look at the flag, not just in the beginning of the game, but all through the game. It also helps to have a speedy center fielder who can track the ball, a guy pretty much like Armando Rios. Let's go up to Greg Gumbel, and Greg, don't leave without me.
You know, last night, Leslie thought it was just an innocent question when our producer said, who has the best eyesight among the 3 of you? And Leslie said, mine is perfect. Thank you, Leslie. 6-2, LSU. The Tigers bat here in the top of the 6th inning.
We were talking about some of those baseball expressions like pitching good. The other is watch the wind. You can't see the wind. That's why you have to watch the flag to see which way the wind is blowing.
Of course, last weekend when we raced those funnel clouds out of town, you see a lot of wind, yeah. 0-1 pitch to Andy Sheets, and it's now 1-1. LSU 6 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Wichita State 2 runs, just 2 hits on the day, and 1 error. That throwing error led to a run in the first inning by pitcher Tyler Green, who is no longer in the game. 2 balls and a strike.
The comment Skip Bertman made that Leslie mentioned that it took him long to get comfortable here. I think that's an indication of this LSU team this year. They have come here a few times, and they are very comfortable, not quite as awed by this spectacle.
Deep center field, Audley for out number 1. Another fine crowd on hand at Rosenblatt Stadium today, 16,612. And these crowds have gotten bigger as the tournament has progressed. Just 1,700 per session back in the 1950s to over 15,000 in the 1990s. Tookie Johnson toward first. And Jason White makes the play unassisted for out number 2.
Yeah, and if you've come here for the first time as a college player, you look at those attendance figures, and you play again in front of 15,000 fans for the first time in your life. That's why getting over that experience and the distraction factor very helpful to LSU. A lot of these guys, Tookie Johnson's like a veteran here.
Very easy to walk out onto this field for the first time and be awed.
If you've played the college ball in front of smaller crowds.
Here's Armando Rios. Last time up, nailed by a pitch, and so Armando tries to lay one up the third base line.
That's what Wichita State expected he might do the time he hit the home run. You're talking about the crowds and being distracted by it. On the big league level now, they call that the double-deck syndrome. You know, a kid comes up for the first time and he looks good in spring training in parks like this, and then you get in the big league stadiums and you say, oh man, you look up in the upper, they got people up there too.
No balls and 1 strike to Rios. Well, 1-1. You know, looking at that attempted bunt up the third baseline, a more physical ball player in the major leagues might drag it up the first baseline and dare a pitcher who has hit him with a pitch to pick it up.
Yeah, if he was sure.
1-1 pitch. Line down the left field line. Did not catch it. Bounced out of his glove, and Rios on his way to second with a double. Tommy Tilma made the valiant effort, couldn't hold on.
Well, it's the little guy, Armando Rios, that's swinging the hot bat. It's a good job by Tilma. Not only diving to try to make the catch, but he got his body in front of it enough to keep it from going to the wall. The ball goes to the wall, and it's an easy triple for Rios. In fact, it could have been an inside the Parker.
And here's Lyle Mouton. Check swing. Ball 1. You mentioned the day that Armando Rios has had a walk in the first inning, homered in the second, hit by a pitch in the fourth, and doubles here in the sixth. He has scored 3 times and driven home 2 runs. 1-0 to Mouton. 1-1. Lyle, a fielder's choice, a ground out to short, and a base on ball. And then he and Rios rode home in the 4th inning on Rich Cordani's 3-base hit. Play on at second base, and Rios dives back. He was sitting in the stands last Friday, and you called a Mouton home run. Are you feeling adventurous?
He had that feeling. Not yet, but if he gets ahead of the driver, he gets ahead of the count, he's going to have a big swing.
Ripped foul past third, 1-2.
Had a big swing anyway.
The LSU Tigers, do they swing the bat?
Now they got to add one more guy to that.
Armando Rios.
Armando Rios.
Good numbers for both Emel and Lyle Mouton.
Yeah, and most of those home runs have come in situations where they've been able to get the pitcher behind in the count. This is one of the times now where Dreifert should have the advantage at 1-2.
Hard towards short. Wimmer up throwing, and that does it for the Tigers here in the 6th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Wichita State needs 4 to pull even at 6-2 LSU. Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium, Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome back, everyone, to the College World Series Championship game between LSU and Wichita State. Greg Gumbel along with Jim Cott and Leslie Visser, and Billy Hall leading off the last of the 6th inning here. And it's 0-1. Armando Rios, a 2-run homer for the Tigers in the 2nd inning. Tyler Green departed early for Wichita State. Just didn't have it today, and LSU ties a College World Series record with its 9th home run. Hall into left field. Cordani on. He got it. Umpire Bill Lopina, looking him right in the face, made the call.
Here's another one of those palms up. If you're Rich Cordani, you hope that you could get the glove in that position. He couldn't do it. He just made a great backhand grab. And you see the ball in the web, and Bill Lopina, there's the left field line umpire right on the call, right on the play to make. Nobody gets a better view of it than he did. What a great play.
I don't know. Can an umpire get a better view than that?
Man. And look at Chad Auger's reaction.
Take one more look at Rich Cordani's play.
Well, it takes hitting, but usually in championship games, you'll also see pitching and good fielding plays play a big part in it.
Well, that's as close as you can get.
Played third base last year.
Chris Wimmer is the hitter. went down swinging in the first, bounced into a fielder's choice in the third. And Chad Auger has done the job against this Wichita lineup. He has allowed 2 runs, 2 hits, and has gotten some pretty good defense.
Yeah, a little early yet to be counting outs because Wichita State can come back. But if he gets through this inning, then LSU's dugout gets in that position where you say 9 more, 8 more. You just look for that out at a time.
Does a pitcher like that? Pitcher like to be reminded of that?
Yeah, a pitcher got to block that out of his mind. I mean, you get to a point where you say the next out I win the game, and you get him the next out I win the game. But you got to guard against looking at it from that standpoint.
A ball and a strike to Chris Wimmer. Takes the bunt. Takes ball 2.
Your immediate concentration is on the guy in the batter's box and where do I want to pitch him, and then after the out is made, those thoughts run through your mind.
We were looking at speed of the pitch earlier in the game. How fast were you when you first came in?
I have no idea.
No?
Glad I didn't. Probably would have never got a chance to play.
Chopped towards short. Andy Sheep tried to backhand it, and it bounced right on past him in the left field. I don't think that's the way they teach it.
Now, Andy Sheets made a quick decision. He didn't think he could get the body in front of it, and he just took one of those the old bullfighter approach to it and didn't get any leather on it. And Skip Bertman would probably like to see him come in and kind of circle that ball and get his body in front of it.
They have given Chris Wimmer a base hit. Here's Jim Audley. Outside, ball 1.
In defensive sheets, by the time the championship game rolls around, and they've played here for 8 or 9 days, the infield here does get a little quick, similar to what artificial turf would be, and that's why that ball had a lot of bounce and a lot of overspin.
That noise coming from the third base side, Wichita State supporters. You'd have to think that they were the local favorite now that Creighton has been eliminated.
LSU is one of the schools that really gets a good following of fans that come. Of course, it's an annual event for them. Now they seem like they're here every year.
Runner goes. Outside, the throw down, too late.
No. He's got the bag right here. He's safe.
That's about 6 safes. No. Umpire Bill Rosenberry out at second.
Well, you got to like the way Rosenberry makes the call, because he not only calls him safe, but he points out where he's got the bag. Wimmer with the head first slide. And Tookie Johnson tries to reach around and make the tag, but Wimmer has the hand in there. And that's what Bill Rosenberry was pointing out. He says, no, he's got the bag right there.
Wimmer with his 54th stolen base of the year, and the bunt attempt by Audley is foul. So Gene Stevenson not going to stop being aggressive just because he's down 4. After Audley will come cleanup hitter Doug Mirabelli. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Instead, Auger spins towards second.
Yeah, this Emo's going to go out and talk to him. This works against Auger. A while ago, I referred to pitchers have these nervous habits, and sometimes you get caught up with a guy on second base. You forget about the big picture. 6-2 game, and the guy at the plate's a guy who can do the damage. So forget about that guy on second. I mean, your catcher and infielders will be responsible for keeping him reasonably close. You just want to go after that guy in the batter's box.
Mark LaRosa up and throwing in the LSU bullpen again. 2 balls and a strike. 2-2. And that's really what they talk about by staying focused out on the mound, isn't it?
Yeah, the good pitchers, no matter what the level, have like tunnel vision. Some of them don't even realize the hitter's in the batter's box. Roger Clemens would be a good example. You see him looking at Tony Pena, and it's like the hitter doesn't even exist. He just sees that target, throws right toward it.
Here's the 2-2 to Audley. Line foul down the third base line. That's not to say that you shouldn't be aware of who's at the plate and what his strengths and weaknesses are.
Believe me, pitchers will tell you they're not only aware of who's at the plate, he can tell you who's in the on-deck circle right now, and the score and how many outs he needs to win. Those thoughts are running through there, but you got to try to zero in on just one for the moment.
There's Doug Mirabelli waiting his turn. Another 2-2 offering to Audley. And Audley in the midst of a pretty good at-bat here.
Mike Sorotka, the left-hander.
I believe I said LaRosa earlier. That's my error.
He's been up a couple of times. LaRosa would be the lefty that Skip Burton would also go to late in the game. Right-hander Rick Green.
Two balls, two strikes. Chris Winter at second with one out. Ball 3. Auger up to 89 pitches now.
That's a lot for one out in the 6th inning. Of course, only has one complete game all year. Chances are he won't get one today.
Full count pitch to Audley. Up the middle. Picked off by Tookie Johnson. The throw to first in time. Two out now and a runner at third, and here's Doug Mirabelli, and we'll take this opportunity to remind you up next here on CBS Sports after this championship game. Live third round coverage of the Buick Classic from the Westchester Country Club in Rye, New York. Many of the best golfers in the world prepping for the U.S. Open, where defending champ Hale Irwin leading the day. Here's Mirabelli. That one misses, ball 1. Tony Patch down at first says Mirabelli did not go around. Doug Mirabelli from Las Vegas, Nevada. Pretty important, too, as this game progresses now, that Wichita State does not squander the chance for even one run right here.
Yeah, and here's one of those pitches. Mirabelli with 85 RBIs is their leader. You got a 2-0 count and a man on base. So here's where you're going to look for a pitch to drive and get back in the ball game with an extra base hit.
Ball 3. For the most part, Chad Auger has been tough when he had to be today, but he's up over 90 pitches today, and he may be getting a little tired. .30 pitch, ball 4. And here comes Skip Bertman.
Yeah, you got a left-hand hitter, 2 men on, and a left-hander with a good curveball in the bullpen, so it would logically be the time to make the move. Skip was a catcher in his playing days, coached the '88 Olympic team, so pitching has always been his strength as a coach.
I imagine there are those who would be diametrically opposed to what Skip believes when he calls each and every pitch from the dugout.
Yeah, you talk to most of the kids and some of his own that get to the big leagues, they would rather call their own game, but he made a point that it is an instructional process. The college game is much more of a hands-on game, a coach's game than a player's game. And so he uses that pitch calling that he does to try to teach the pitchers and catchers how they ought to go at certain hitters. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't particularly. I think the pitcher and the catcher are the two people that know what pitch to throw, no matter what level you're at.
Well, Auger will remain, at least to pitch to Todd Dreifert. Sorotka in the bullpen. Over at third is Chris Wimmer. And at first, Doug Mirabelli. And you might even think that even if Auger does escape from this inning, that he may not come back out for the seventh. He has Dreifert outside, ball one. Another sign that Auger might be tiring. He's had a lot of pitches up.
That's early indication to coaches right there. Once that fastball starts getting up, it means you're losing your leg drive and you can't get it down around the knees where you want it.
That one caught the outside corner, and it's 1-1.
Most of the time, it's not the arm that gets tired. It's the body from driving off that pitching rubber, and that's what causes the ball to go high.
Talking with the starting pitchers yesterday, both Auger and Tyler Green, they both thought the strike zone tends to shrink as the game progresses. Fouled away, 1-2.
Most of the time at Omaha, the strike zone has been liberal because over the years they've had so many high-scoring games at 24-10s and a lot of walks, and it's not as entertaining a game. So to make it a little crisper pace, they have enlarged the strike zone. But this year, the pitchers have still been rather wild.
Time call at the plate as Dreifert stepped out. Chris Wimmer at third, Doug Mirabelli at first. 2 on, 2 out for Wichita State. Trying to put some runs on the board here in the last of the sixth. And a 1-2 pitch to Dreifert. Toward short. Sheets gobbles it up. The force at second, and that'll retire the Shockers. 6-2 after 6. LSU and CBS Sports coverage of the College World Series championship game will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Back at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium here in Omaha, we played 6 innings, and LSU leading Wichita State by a score of 6-2. And if you're going to play that little game of find the left-handed pitcher in the broadcast booth, you continue to look, and there he is. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Jim Cott and Leslie Visser somewhere out there. 99 pitches Chad Auger has now thrown for the LSU Tigers, and Skip Bertman has to be wondering just where do you cut it off? At what point will he have lost his magic and it might be better to bring on a fresh arm?
I'll tell you what, it's a pretty gutsy move allowing Auger to face Dreifert with the left-hander Sorapka down in the bullpen. A lot of confidence in that guy.
Excuse me, Jim. Rich Cordani, Gary Emel, and Pat Garrity here in the 7th inning for the Tigers. Cordani with a big 2-run triple back in the 4th inning to bring home 2. Darren Dreifert came on in relief of Tyler Green with 1 on and no one out in the 4th inning. So he's beginning his 3rd full inning of work. I'm sorry, his 4th full inning. 1-1 pitch toward right field. Billy Hall cuts it off. Billy Hall's been busy at second base.
Yeah, you can see the way that ball picks up speed. I mean, it really is like artificial turf. This ball with a lot of overspin, and once again, it's speed in the field. That's what enables Hall to make that play look rather easy. It's the speed and the quick jump.
1 down, and here's Gary Emel. .6'2" senior from Baton Rouge. And Dreifert goes down on the mound. Had something on it and still was fairly close to the plate.
That's right. You see that front foot now with Auger and Tyler Green having been out there. That's one of the areas a pitcher usually pays attention to before the inning. You want to smooth that little area where you plant that front foot, and Dreifert caught the side of the hole there. It slipped.
2-0. Emel with 25 home runs on the season.
They make a correction, Greg. Earlier in the broadcast, talked about Georgia's winning the championship with 2 fine left-handers, Stan Payne, and it was Dave Fleming, who's now playing pro ball. I think Vern Fleming was the basketball star somewhere down that way.
Strike 2. Dave can also pop a three-pointer now and then. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Gary Emel. Nobody on and 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Toward third, Mike Jones. Got him.
Mike Jones, 17th round draft pick of the Cincinnati Reds. You see him get that glove and the body on balance to get ready to make this play. And a member of that championship team of 1989.
Baseball fans present and future. Here's Pat Garrity. Inside, ball 1. All the way from Baton Rouge, the LSU Tigers.
He's all the way from Omaha. Jim Hendry, the head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays, had made a good showing here at the College World Series.
Foul ball, 1 and 2. Boy, didn't they, though.
And they're all over the country. College coaches like Hendry and Bertman, they don't all get to Omaha, but they're guys that have developed good programs. They have summer camps where they're teaching youngsters how to play the game. And, boy, he had a couple fine players. Scott Stahobiak, Collegiate Player of the Year, was his star.
1 week ago today, we saw this fine pitcher, Mike Heathcock, shut Clemson down. Swing and a miss. Garrity goes down on strikes, and Dryford gets the Tigers in order here in the 7th. We'll go to the last of the 7th. Wichita State down 4. Bottom half of the 7th inning. That's become as much of a ritual as the cry to play ball at the start, hasn't it?
Makes you feel like you're part of the game. Baseball, one of the few games where the fan gets a chance to participate. You sing and the contests go on.
I think around the majors, there's been a little talk of too much fan participation this year. Call strike to Mike Jones, leading off the bottom of the 7th for Wichita State. It'll be Jones, Darren Dryford, and Jason White. Chad Auger delivers high. He's pitched a dandy. Working the 7th inning, he's allowed 2 runs, 3 hits to a Wichita State team that hit .336 on the season. Tapper up the first base line. Auger makes the play. Remind you once again, once Jim and I wrap things up here in Omaha, we'll send you out to Rye, New York for live 3rd round coverage of the Buick Golf Classic, where Hale Irwin is the one-shot leader.
Getting tuned up to win another Open, I guess, isn't it?
Darren Dryford came on to pitch in the 4th inning and stayed on as the designated hitter in place of Scott McLuhan. Dryford popped out to first in his only plate appearance so far. That's where we are.
Chad Auger will launch a pro career when this thing's over. He's a 3rd round draft pick of the Cleveland Indians.
Auger's got still has plenty of pop in that fastball. Dryford was a mile behind it.
Yeah, he's got that wiry body. You know, not big like Tyler Green was, but very wiry, and you can see in his eyes the intense, the competitive anger that he has, and that's what Skip Bertman likes about him.
Strike 3 called.
Sometimes, no matter how great an arm you have or a curveball, big league pitchers will tell you that you can will the ball in the spot that you want it and get hitters out. It's called pitching with conviction. And that's what Auger does.
Third strikeout of the day for Chad Auger. Nobody on and 2 out now, and strike 1 to Jason White, who is 0 for 2. Breaking ball just under 80 miles an hour. Billy Hall has 2 of the 3 hits for Wichita State, and Chris Wimmer has the 3rd. And that's been it off of Chad Auger today. 1-1. 2 balls and a strike. We had a few sprinkles about 45 minutes ago, but it feels like the rain has moved on, Jim. Hit in the air, right side. Mouton in a few steps. And the Shockers go in order here in the 7th. We'll go to the top of the 8th. LSU clinging to a 6-2 lead.
Back at Rosenblatt Stadium, the NCAA, like most Americans, has become quite image conscious. You'll notice that there are no longer billboards on the outfield walls. They've been replaced by thick padding. And the players are no longer allowed to chew smokeless tobacco. Now they go with this big league chewing gum, which is sort of that stringy strawberry stuff. I heard that the tobacco ban was particularly hard on Skip Bertman because he used to smoke cigars in the dugout. Guess Red Auerbach would have a tough time here. Greg?
Thank you, Leslie. Well, Leslie's logged some miles around this stadium today, hasn't she?
Got her running in. Left center, the third base dugout.
I think she's on roller skates. Top of the 8th inning. LSU with the 7, 8, and 9 hitters in Skip Bertman's batting order. Johnny Telechia, Chris Mook, Andy Sheets to face Darren Dreifert. This one hit towards second. Hall again with the putout. Or the assist for the putout.
Now Darren Dreifert's giving him a good effort. Now there's a unique way to warm up. No tension down there. That's Jamie Bluma, just a freshman. And they say he gets it up there about 95.
I wore my cap like that once. My coach called me a yo-yo. I've since realized it had nothing to do with the way I was wearing my cap.
He didn't call you meat, right? So years ago, meat for meathead was the expression for years, or bush.
Well, Chris Mook is on base, having been hit by this pitch.
Mirabelli's target down and in, and just as Mook looks like he's going to attempt to bunt, that pitch hits him in the top of the shoe.
That's 3 hit batsmen we've seen this afternoon. Gary Emel was hit in the 1st inning, Armando Rios in the 4th, and now Chris Mook here in the 8th inning. Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium here in Omaha, Nebraska, the site of the College World Series Championship. Greg Gumbel, Jim Cott, Leslie Visser. LSU leading it 6-2, top of the 8th inning, 1 on, 1 out, and this is the number 9 hitter in the order, Andy Sheets.
See what Skip Bertman has in mind. He'd like just one more run with the number 9 hitter. Looked like he's going to try to sacrifice even with 1 out.
Called strike, 1-1. Sheets 0 for 2 with a walk.
Smoke Laval giving the signs down there in the third base box.
LSU may have the best names on the coaching lines in the game of baseball. Smoke Laval down at 3rd, and over at 1st, Beetle Bailey.
Beetle Bailey. Well, he was an outstanding hitter in the big leagues for many years. Bob Bailey, and his nickname was Beetle.
Lined into left field, base hit. Mook stops at 2nd. And Gene Stevenson going to take the walk to the mound, and perhaps Darren Dreifert has had it for the day.
Yeah, you hate to bring your closer in if you're Gene Stevenson without a lead, but with just 2 at-bats to go, he's in that situation where he'll bring Bluma in a game. like you would bring a pitcher in a save situation. Try to keep it at 6-2.
With hat on correctly, Jamie Bluma entered. We'll be back. Pitching change here in the top of the 8th inning for Wichita State. Jamie Bluma comes on, and he can wing it.
Yeah, good strikeouts. He's about 37 innings, 51 strikeouts, and just 16 walks, so he's got good control. And Gene Stevenson has had some good closers. He had Jim Newland a couple of years ago that had that hard slider, and this kid has a good live fastball and a slider.
It's his 3rd appearance here in the College World Series. He has 1 save, a 1-0 record, and an earned run average of 0. Chris Mook at 2nd. Andy Sheets at 1st. Here's Tukey Johnson. And a 90-mile-an-hour burner right off the bat.
Yeah, and what they'll do, Wichita State in the field with Bluma throwing and Tukey Johnson at the plate, you'll see they bring the outfield in and over toward the right field line. You could expect to see Johnson just try to fight the ball off and hit it the other way.
Back up the middle. Bluma to 2nd for 1. To 1st, double play. That's a relief job. 1-6-3 if you're scoring. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Wichita State looking for some runs.
Obviously, winning it in '87 is probably my most memorable and funnest moment I've had in sports. I can't see it being any better unless I would win a World Series here in the major leagues. You know, any personal achievement can't come up to winning something as a team and going as far as you possibly can in whatever division you're playing in.
We've heard so many former College World Series champions talk about the moment when it's all over and you're king of the hill.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, because he's right. No matter what you do as an individual, nothing tops being part of a championship team, especially something that takes about 4 months to achieve.
How about a hole-in-one?
Nope.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tommy Tillma, the number 9 hitter for Gene Stevenson. Then to the top of the order, Billy Hall and Chris Wimmer. The bullpen is busy for LSU. The left-hander is Mark LaRosa. The right-hander is Rick Green. And with the power of this order coming up, perhaps Skip Bertman will go to it first sign of trouble. And Chad Auger falls behind 3-1. Good pitch, 3-2.
Here's where if the catcher is, he's looking in for the sign, but you just kind of look out like a lot of veteran catchers used to do it. Just say, come on, just throw it. You just throw it over the plate. We'll take our chances with 6 outs to go.
Hit into left center field. Cordani from left, Rios from center, and nobody gets it. It's out of here. His 6th home run of the year, his 1st in the College World Series. And that's not what Chad Auger wanted to see from the number 9 hitter in the order.
A couple of unlikely home run hitters, Armando Rios from LSU, and now, yeah, Auger makes him hit it, and Tillma says, I will. Well, at least he made him earn it, didn't walk him. And again, you get a ball airborne to left center field with anything on it, that's where it's going. Ball is really drifting out that way.
Look out, Leslie. Billy Hall fakes the bunt, takes ball 1. Only the 4th hit off of Auger. That's ball 2. Hall and Wimmer with 3 of the 4 hits. They are 3 for 6 against Auger today. The rest of the order, hitters 3, 2, 9, are 1 for 17. And that 1 was the shot by Tommy Tillma. The LSU lead now is 6-3. getting excited about it in the Wichita State dugout. I'd say another Wichita State base runner and Chad Auger may be finished for the day, Jim. 3-0.
Yeah, this is the guy that Skip wants on the mound. He showed us that when he allowed him to pitch with Dreifert with a couple of men on. That he's running that pitch count out right now, maybe losing a little of his control as well as his stuff. But he's got capable guys down in the bullpen. So another base runner would seem like might bring Skip out of the dugout.
Tommy Tilma homered to lead off the bottom of the 8th for Wichita State. Top of the order now, Billy Hall, 3-0 pitch. 3-1. Ball 4. And here comes Skip Bertman.
Auger with just one complete game. That's been about his max. 7 innings, 7 and a fraction, and he's made the signal.
Well, what he has done for LSU this afternoon is he has given the Tigers a chance to win. Well, Rick Green handed the ball from starter Chad Auger in some very special words. And what a job Auger did this afternoon, Jim. He goes 7 innings on a yield of 3 runs and 4 hits, surrendered a homer and a base on balls here in the 8th inning. And Rick Green, a 6'5", 200-pound sophomore from Miami, Florida, has come on. Chris Wimmer. Runner goes. Hall is in there. Third stolen base of the afternoon for Billy Hall.
Yeah, LSU with a long ball and some 2 spots, but Wichita State just gets them back 1 at a time. And they're down 3. Billy Hall again in that straight steal situation. Good jump. Very little chance for Emel to throw him out.
Some people might say, well, you got to be crazy this late in the game, down 3 and you got to run on. That's keeping the pressure up, isn't it?
Yeah, not anymore in baseball. That's one of the big changes. Speed, much more speed in the game, and coaches want to get that runner into scoring position as much as they can.
And you cannot turn your back on him now. He stole 3rd in the 1st inning. Chopped up the first base line, foul. Green comes at you with a big sidearm delivery.
You mentioned the job Chad Auger did, and the key phrase you struck was he gave his team a chance to win the game. You hear big league managers say that about starters. We're not necessarily looking for a shutout every time, because this is a good hitting ball club, Wichita State. But just give me enough innings and enough of a performance to give us a chance to win, and that's what Auger did.
Line to short, picked off by Andy Sheets. And an alert Billy Hall backtracks to second.
Wow, when you see balls hit like this and they're right at people, you get the feeling that it is LSU's day. That's a great at-bat right there by Chris Wimmer. He stung the ball. And Andy Sheets right there to make the play.
Sheets looking for the double up at second, even on his way down. First out of the inning. Here's Audley. And you've got to figure the middle of this Wichita State order is about due to break loose. You look at that average and you know you're not going to keep him down for long. Toward right field, picked off by Telechia. He'll make the play himself, and Hall moves over to 3rd. You mentioned the fielding prowess of Johnny Telechia earlier.
Yeah, those don't look like spectacular plays, but what they are is good, steady, solid fielding plays under pressure, playing for a national championship. This ball was stung pretty well. See Telechia body on balance, makes the quick reaction, gets the out. This is one of LSU's starters, Paul Bird. He's pitched here before, and a top draft pick with a good curveball. Berkman getting him ready.
Strike call to Mirabelli. Billy Hall, trying to shake up Rick Green, was halfway down the third baseline.
Ball girl. Ball. Ball girl. Come here.
Well, that run at third is one that Gene Stevenson would dearly love, because going into the bottom of the ninth, needing two, not an impossibility. Oh, one pitch is high, and it's a ball and a strike. The Shockers have not produced well with runners in scoring position.
And the biggest at bat of those was when Auger got Dreifert to end the 6th inning with 2 men on.
A ball and a strike to Mirabelli, who is 0 for 2. Inside, 2-1. There's Chad Auger. Great job for LSU this afternoon. And Mirabelli runs the count now to 3-1. The on-deck hitter is Todd Dreifert.
Had a little chat with himself outside that batter's box. He knows what's at stake. 3-1 count. He's going to get a fastball, and a big swing can get his team within 1.
Here's the 3-1 to Mirabelli. Down toward third, knocked down by Mook, picks it up, throws, got him! Outstanding play by Chris Mook to retire the side. The run doesn't score.
Sometimes your fielding can make you look like a little better pitcher than what you've pitched. I mean, Wichita State hit the ball hard this inning. Nice play there by Mook. Gives up his body and makes the good off-balance throw accurately to Telechia to get the third out.
That quarterback's arm comes up big for Chris Mook. The Shockers get one on the home run by Tommy Tilma, but trail 6-3 after 8.
Back at Rosenblatt Stadium, where LSU is still in the lead. You know, the players from LSU think they're sort of the Duke of college baseball. They've been to the College World Series 5 of the last 6 years, never won a title. But like Duke, they feel that this year it's their time to take the trophy home. And that's exactly what they're planning on doing to celebrate down in Louisiana. Greg, you're from Louisiana. You know about that.
Know all about that, Leslie.
Not only from Louisiana, he's Louisiana Lightning.
That's right. Of course, very few people know that. LSU 3 outs away from a championship.
Well, delay in the action right now, because for the first time the sun has popped through, and all the Wichita State players hustling toward that dugout to get the sunglasses.
Jim Audley just coming across the third base line over to the dugout. Got, of course, to answer the big question, what the heck is that? That bright light. So Audley has them, and so now to shortstop Chris Wimmer and third baseman Mike Jones.
And for playing in the field, this has been the ideal day for fielders, because there has been no glare, and the ball, you pick the ball up much easier on a day like today than when the bright sun comes out. But now the boys will put on the eyewear.
Definition of a true fan.
Fashionable hairdo. Got his moss trimmed up there with the LSU initials.
Top of the 9th inning. It'll be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Tigers. Armando Rios, Lyle Mouton, Rich Cordani. And what a day this young man, Armando Rios, has had. He walked and scored in the first, hit a 2-run homer in the second, hit by a pitch and scored in the fourth, and doubled in the sixth. A ball and a strike. Jamie Bluma working his second inning. Actually came on and got Tookie Johnson to hit into a double play to end the 8th. And now has Rios 1-2. And Rios goes down swinging on the fastball.
Bluma's got the kind of approach you like to see in a closing reliever, too. Coaches and managers love to bring a guy in that just takes the ball and says, I'm coming right at you. No dawdling around the mound by Bluma. I mean, he gets it up there quick and works quickly.
One up, one gone, and here's Mouton. This will be power against power, huh? Mouton, 2 ground outs, a fielder's choice, and a walk. That's strike 2.
Got a little unusual motion. Mouton shaking his head. That ball's probably tough to pick up. Bluma kind of steps toward first.
Lyle got around on that one and pulled it foul down the third baseline. Still 1-2.
A lot of hitters will say that. I can't pick up the ball. It's coming out of his uniform, and that's what it looks like with Bluma. He'll stride a little toward first, and it's almost like he shot puts the ball out of there, out of his right shoulder area.
Time called by home plate umpire Lee Hagler. Here's the 0-2. And he waves at strike 3. Here's that motion you talked about, Jim.
Yeah, the shoulder stays closed, but the foot goes slightly toward first base. Good leg drive right there. Then I think seeing him for the first time and seeing the ball come out of that motion right there makes it doubly difficult to pick it up.
Here's Rich Cordani. Big 2-out, 2-run triple back in the 4th inning. Tapped in front of the plate. That's a fair ball. Mirabelli up throwing, and that'll do it for LSU. Here in the top of the 9th inning, the Tigers will go out needing 3 outs to become champions. And we'll send you out to Pat and the rest of the crew when we wrap things up here in Omaha. LSU with a 3-run lead as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Eight chosen talented teams began the action last Friday here in Omaha, and it has come down to LSU and Wichita State. Todd Dreifert will lead it off here in the 9th against Rick Green. Outside, ball 1. 2 years ago, Wichita State, as the number 4 seed, won this championship. Last year, 4th seeded Georgia, a winner. 4th seeded LSU, just 3 outs away this year. That'll be out of play, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Green, like Bluma, not wasting any time, and a power pitcher coming right at the hitter. Exactly what you want to see from your short reliever.
That one into right field, base hit. First hit of the game for Todd Dreifert, 5th for Wichita State, and here's Mike Jones, who is hitless today in 2 trips with a walk.
Yeah, you're moving down toward the bottom of the order, but Jason White in the number 8 spot has 13 home runs. He's tied for the club lead, so they got some power down there.
Ball strike. Well, our congratulations once again to the folks here in Omaha for putting on just another fabulous College World Series tournament.
Great 10-day event to come here and watch some stars of tomorrow.
called strike 2. It's an antsy LSU dugout. And an apprehensive Wichita State lineup. Strike 3 call. First strikeout of the day for Rick Green.
Hey, you're right about antsy. You know, as a player, where you'd rather be right now is out on the field, maybe in Rick Green's shoes or one of the players. The worst spot to be when you're anticipating a national championship, you see Green stick that pitch right on the outside corner, is in the dugout where you can't do anything but do a little cheering. You'd rather be out there playing.
Darren Dreifert takes strike 1, removed as a pitcher. Back in the 8th inning, but remains as the designated hitter. Oh, 1 pitch. Strike 2. I want to remind you the coordinating producer of the NCAA championships on CBS is Mark Wolf. Today's College World Series championship game produced by Bob Dekas, directed by Mike Arnold. The senior producer of CBS Sports is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker. 0-2 on Dreifert. Looked a lot like the strikeout pitch to Mike Jones, the hitter before. Just missed, though. It's 1-2. Dreifert late on the swing, fouls it up the first baseline, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Pitch right there really points out how important it is to get ahead of hitters, and Tyler Green could not do that today. That's why LSU is leading, but Dreifert just has to take a defensive swing with 2 strikes, trying to protect the plate.
Strike 3 call. And now the Tigers are 1 out away. On Jason White. Toward third. Moof across the diamond. The Tigers are national champions. Turns into jubilation.
Yeah, that's what you play for. You start in February and hope you get here and do what they did.
The LSU Tigers have won it 6-3. We'll take a timeout and come back in a moment.
WWL-TV New Orleans. With Matchlight, you get the best charcoal, Kingsford, with just the right amount of lighter fluid. Matchlight from Kingsford.
Speed, agility, power.
Hit way back to deep left center field.
These abilities come from hard work and practice. You can't get them by using drugs.
If you or someone you know needs help or information concerning drug abuse, call this toll-free number, 1-800-662-HELP. This message provided by the NCAA.
Tonight on CBS, a CBS special movie, Laker Girls, a motion picture for TV about 3 young women whose lives change when they become part of that famous dance squad that performs at home games for the LA Lakers. The movie is a rebroadcast. Gene Simmons makes a special appearance, and the Laker girls are featured as themselves. Tina Yothers also stars. That's followed by Dr. and Good Sports. Speaking of good sports, I'd say this man qualifies. The winning coach in today's championship game, Skip Bertman, is with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
That's absolutely correct, Greg. Coach, you were the dominant team of the tournament. You won your games by an average 12 runs. What was the difference today?
Well, today, Auger competed very well, and he didn't have his best stuff, and, of course, Rick Green closed out with some really demonstrative stuff. We got hot at the right time. Wichita State's a great team. We're excited for the people of Louisiana and our administration and all the people that stuck with us. It's been a great victory, and it's been a great year.
Well, the words undefeated national champions certainly have a great ring to them. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Coach. Back to you, Greg.
Congratulations indeed from all of us to Coach Skip Bertman and the LSU Tigers. I want to remind you, live third-round coverage of the Buick Open is coming up next year on CBS Sports from Rye, New York.
CBS Sports coverage of today's College World Series Championship game has been sponsored by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. And by Crest, the dentist choice for fighting cavities. Crest with Floristat.
Congratulations to the Tigers. For Jim Cott and Leslie Visser, I'm Greg Gumbel saying so long from Omaha, where the final score is LSU 6 and Wichita State 3. The College World Series has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA championships.